Are you struggling to rank up, or maybe you just keep dying off spawn? If so, then this video is for you. I am one of the top 65 Unreal ranked players in NA, and today I'm going to be showing all of you how to rank up in the fastest way possible so that you can reach Unreal rank just like me. So if you guys do enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. We're almost at 40k subs. Use code Farley, check out my other socials. But now onto the first part of this video that's going to help you rank up, Offspawn. Now the first step to being successful off spawn is having a plan, and that starts as soon as you jump out of the bus. For example, every single time I land at Seaport City, I always know I want to land at this building right here, and to get the perfect drop and set me up for that building properly, I always aim for this cross section of roads right here. This is going to set me up perfectly for this building. You'll also notice as I'm gliding in, I'm going to scan my surroundings in the air, and I'm going to count how many people are landing with me. This is very important, not only so you know how many people are landing with you, so you don't 50-50 for a gun and die off spawn, because a lot of people will start gliding into their POI, they won't look at what's around them, and someone will glide up next to them, steal their gun, and then they die, and then they lose all of those rank points they just worked for. Instead, what you need to do is pull your glider and then look around you as you're gliding in. For example, as I'm gliding in, I look to my right and I see this player gliding right next to me, and I notice that I'm lower than him, so I know there's no chance of me losing the 50-50 if there's a gun on the roof. And when I swerve over, I see there's a shotgun on the roof, so I know I'm not going to lose that 50-50. He now has to swerve off, and now I have the biggest building at the POI, giving me an advantage off spawn. Now after I've won this building off spawn, it's very important that I have a loot route so that I maximize the amount of loot I have, so that if I get in a fight, I'm ready. So as soon as I land, I drop down, and I always go down below so that I can get these 2 barrels right here. This will just give me some instant shield just in case anyone were to push me. And then I'm just going to continue in the direction of this building, and this will allow me to get 2 more shield barrels. And if I did need more shield, I could go over to this building right here just past it, and in this window right here, there's another 5 shield barrels just in case I needed it. Now that I've lived off spawn and I've got my loot route done, I'm ready to fight. Now if you want to fight off spawn, you need to remember how many people landed with you so that you can clear your POI properly. So while I was gliding in, I saw 2 people landing to my right, so I know I have to fight 2 people. And while I was gliding in, a third showed up, so after I kill him, I still know there's 2 people to eliminate before I can get the vault. Now after I've killed the last player of my POI and I've racked up 3 kills, I know my POI is now clear and I can get the vault in peace without getting third-partied. But moving on from Offspawn, let's talk about the next part of this video that most players struggle with, mid-game. Now when you're in mid-game, and specifically fighting in mid-game, you need to understand that ending fights quickly is essential, because third parties are basically inevitable. So really quickly, let's show you 2 different ways that you can end fights faster. Now first, when you're fighting in ranked, every player you fight is going to be different, but it's almost guaranteed that you're going to run into a player that's insanely aggressive. So let's show a simple way that you can fight against aggressive players. So in this example right here, I see these 2 other people fighting, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go third party this, but I get shot in my back and I take a little bit of damage. So I'm instantly going to swap to my hard mats, and I'm going to create a 2x1 of space. This is very important because if you're fighting a sticky launcher, you're going to need space to fight against them. Now when this player pushes up to my wall, I'm thinking right now, okay, I could edit on this player and cone him, but he pulls out his sticky launcher, so I know he's going to shoot it and try and pre-fire me. So instead of allowing him to pre-fire me, I'm going to pre-fire him back. So when the wall breaks, I'm going to time it perfectly, shoot my pump, and crack the player. And after I've cracked this player, he's now on defense, so I need to keep it that way, because if he just starts spamming me again, I'm gonna die. So while I'm being aggressive against this player, I'm using my pump and my AR combined to apply some pressure to make sure he can't med up. And when I realize he's trying to escape that box, I jump up and I try and double it at the left side, but I realize he's on the right side of the box. So that means from this point right here, he's probably going to try and create space into this area right here. And what do you know? I was right, and I was able to grab the cone and the floor before him, and I was able to full box him and pick up a simple elimination. And after I pick up that kill, notice how I always create space just in case I were to get third-partied. Now this isn't the only way that you can end fights fast in mid-game. Another great way to end fights quickly is by turning defense into offense in the middle of a fight. So an example of this would be in this fight right here. I see this player in the distance, I'm going to spray him, but I'm not going to hit him for a lot of damage. And when I see him ramping towards me and he shockwaves over, I know this player is somewhat decent, and I know he's going to be super aggressive. So I block him off and I take high ground. When I take high ground, this player shockwaves up in the air and he gets a bunch of chip damage on me, and if we were to pause the fight right now, he has 100 and I have around 100 HP. So I create some space in hard mats, at least 2 or 3 boxes worth, so that it gives me time to react to whatever the player does. When I see the player pushing over to me, I know I'm going to need counter damage so that the player will stop pushing me. So when he goes up to my floor and he flips this ramp, I notice that's my floor. So I edit, catching him off guard, drop him down while he swings his pickaxe, and I'm able to pump him and then crack him. But after I crack him, notice how I reset the wall and hold it. This is very important because I could still get one pumped or he could jump in and I'll die. So I'm going to reset the wall, hold it, and make sure he can't steal it, because he's going to try and shoot it and replace it with his map just like he tried to do right there. But after I hold the wall, he now has shotgun delay, so I am free to wide edit and shoot the player. Now I do hit him, but I shoot him in the toes, so he's super weak on HP. And all I need to do at this point is just apply a little bit of pressure so the player won't med up. He's now panicking, and I have a super big health advantage. He panics, and I'm able to pick up a simple kill and get a mythic pump and a mythic drum gun. Now that we've talked about some of the best ways to become a better fighter in mid-game, let's talk about some of the biggest mistakes that you're making as a player that's getting you killed or just not allowing you to win games in general. Now, in my opinion, the biggest issue that's going to hold you back as a player is tunnel vision. A lot of players will get too focused on one player or one thing, and they won't see the big picture, and they'll get sprayed in their back or they'll die. So really quickly, here's an example of a player having tunnel vision. I see this player in front of me, I spray him, and then the other player also starts to shoot at him. But this player's so focused on the other guy that he didn't even hear me shooting, and he's too focused, and I see him obviously sitting in the bush, so I'm able to spray him and get an insane amount of opening damage. After that, all I have to do is push up to him. I realize that there's a ramp sitting right behind me, so I'm able to use it to phase into the box. After it doesn't work the first time, I spray in, do it again, and I'm able to pick up a kill. But I was only able to kill this player because the other player had tunnel vision, so make sure you're not making the same mistake that player made. Moving on, now let's talk about the second biggest mistake that you are making in ranked, and that is building in wood when you're fighting. For example, in this fight right here, I see this player in front of me, and I'm going to jump in the air and hit him with my mammoth pistol, and then he's going to box up in a 2x1 of wood. Now when I start to ramp this player, notice how I'm going to be building in wood, but then as I approach his box, I'm going to swap to my brick, and I piece up all the places around me, and now I'm starting to apply pressure. But the reason I'm able to apply pressure so well to this player is because he builds in wood. I'm able to take advantage of that with my drum gun, spray the player, and get a big hit of opening damage. At this point, the player's weak, right? And he should go expand. But even when this player expands, he's building in wood, and that means all of his walls are weak. So all I have to do is change angles, drop on his wall, because I know it's not going to be that healthy. I'm able to mammoth it with the pump, and then I'm able to pick up a simple elimination. So make sure when you get into fights in ranked, you always swap to your hard mats and you create space so you don't get jumped in on. Moving on, now let's talk about the final and most important part of this video that's going to allow you to rank up and reach Unreal rank, and that is Endgame. Now when you get to Endgame, obviously your goal is to win the game. Now there's a few ways to do this. For example, this is me on high ground, and then this is the player on low ground. Now you'll notice zone is pulling literally all the way across Canyon Crossing. And that means from this point, I have to get all the way over there without dying. And that means if I jump off right now, this player below me is just going to spray me as I'm falling, and I'm going to take a bunch of damage because he has a drum gun. So I need to get some damage on this player or force him to stay back while I rotate. But right now, I can't see him because I have a blind spot. Looking down, I expose myself a bunch, and I don't really have a good angle at this player. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out at an angle. This allows me now to see down and wait for the player to edit. This means I'm able to spray the player and crack him. Not only does this crack him, but look how it slows him down. Now, he can't spray me while I'm running, and this means I don't take any damage, and I'm able to get to the front of zone. And then when I fall down, all I have to do is spray this player in the back and slow him down, and then I'm able to pick up a simple kill. Now another question you may be asking is, how do I win the final 1v1 against the other player alive? Now really, it's not even about actually being a good fighter. It's literally all about having good positioning and just fighting smart. An example of how to fight smart in a 1v1 would be right here. I see this player building up to high ground, so I know I have to take it from him so he doesn't have that high ground advantage. So when I see him building up, I'm going to hold out my cone in front of me to block him from ramping me off, but he's able to change directions. And when I notice he's building in wood, as I mentioned before, that's a big problem. All I have to do is pump it and then spray it with my AR to crack him. But even as I'm fighting this player, notice how I'm not dropping into his box and I'm making any dumb plays. When I drop down on his level, I realize I just need to cut off a few angles and I'm going to be able to win. So notice how I block off the right side, and this forces him to go back into that old box. And again, while zone's pulling and this player's below me, I have a blind spot, right? So I remember what I did in the last fight. All I'm going to do is build out at an angle and then get in a little bit early. This means I look back at the other player and he builds out, and again, he stays at the back of zone too long, I'm able to spray him, track him through the air, and pick up a simpler limb and a free win. So if you do want to win rank games consistently, you need to have better positioning than the other players around you so that you can win games consistently. Now that is going to wrap up this video, so if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. We're almost at 40k subs, and if you want to see how to become the best fighter possible, go check this video out. But with that, I'm out. Peace.